right, good morning, good evening, good night. As always, we are hitting you with the latest NFT and Web3 news here on NFT Live. And what the hell is going on? I was solo for just 5 seconds. Give me a quick little look. Biggie, Poppins, and Gifted. It's not just me today. It's not just Nifty Q. What's going on, fellas? How are we doing today on this beautiful Thursday in the Web3 space?
Fucking feels like a Friday, man. After that show today, that was so much fun. If you guys are not checking out Web3 show spaces on fucking Twitter, my lord, you're missing out. Big time. Big time.
Big time. What up, Giff?
Yeah. Dude, I was excited to see you just pop up. I thought you were just gonna run with it yourself, Q. I was excited to see where it went, but you kind of threw us for a loop there. I'm just happy and blessed to be here. Always our vibe, our tribe, and yeah, it does feel like a Friday. That was a fun show. We did a battle of the blockchains, ETH versus Sol versus Tez. Which is the best blockchain for NFTs, and had different teams battling it out, fighting for the virtues of their respective chains. It was fun.
Now, there was a lot of fishy stuff going on in that show, man. Biggie was like swapping sides. Gifted was like talking mad shade on Solana, man. We're going to have a little bit of that discussion. I kind of want to frame it in like, what is the second best blockchain, right? Like we had ETH as a part of that battle, but we all kind of know inherently that Ethereum is Ethereum. So it's like tough to even kind of, oh God.
Tez came out ahead easily. I mean, it wasn't even close.
So. All right, man. All right, so this is what you got to do. Right now, look at me in the fucking face and like the actual video. Right now. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed to the channel. If you don't do those two things, we will shut down this episode. This is per Gifted. This is per do it right now or I'm leaving.
Yeah, we will turn this show around. All right, get in the car. I love the get in the car energy. That's like one of my favorite things that's come out of the show. I think that was a J Yacht special. I think Jessica is the one that came up with the get in the car energy. But yeah, I mean, what's the point? If you enjoy the content, if you've seen a couple of these videos at this point, you're still not subscribed to the channel, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're a rug at that point, right? Like, so that's it. Leave it a like while you're at it, while you're down there.
Yeah, so guys, this is what we're doing today. Guys and gals, this is what we're doing today. We're going to cover some kind of, I guess, like recaps on stories we've been covering. We do it 4 times a week now, so it feels like almost we're getting it in real time. We're able to like kind of revisit maybe a bigger story that happened on Tuesday that is now, kind of having some responses to it. So we're going to hit on Decentraland's response to the fact that they only had 32 users. There has been like major drama since then. DApp Radar's gotten involved, Decentraland's gotten involved, but we're going to touch on DeGods. Just came out that their artist is leaving the project. We're going to hit on a Blockchain Game Alliance GameFi Q3 report, and then we're going to hit on which blockchain is the best. We also have a bunch of other, we have time to cover whatever the hell you want. So please leave those topics in the chat if you want us to hit on, whether Biggie is, having the best hat of us all, which I think is, the poll would be, give the thumbs up, as we say.
In Web3. Yeah, he's got the hair. He's got the hair coming in too, bro. I didn't know you were rocking the hair. I feel like you and me gotta.
Bro, look at this, man.
Yeah, we should maybe like do a day where we just have like competing hairstyles and get as weird as we can.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Prodigy saying, damn, looking Q in the eyes maybe trigger and dislike, my bad. Prodigy is also saying, okay, Biggie Swag saved it. We good now. So he didn't actually like the video or dislike the video.
Thumbs down. Wait, you didn't hear the news, Prodigy? Thumbs down is actually a racial. It's a racist slur now when you go thumbs down. So better keep it all thumbs up down there. Otherwise you're racist.
Yo, what are you guys doing in the space over the weekend? Is there anything happening over the weekend that's coming up where you're just like, I really am about to do something here in Web3 and it needs to be news on NFT Live?
I mean, I don't know if it's like news, but I'm probably going to go down this tonight. IRL Alpha is every Thursday in Venice, and it's a great time. It's like a live podcast, interactive at Budman Studios. And then meet up with some friends. Yeah, it's a really good time. So shout out to IRL Alpha, the crew over there doing their thing. And hopefully I'm hoping maybe we can collaborate with them in some regard on Web3 as well. And then, yeah, the only other thing coming up for me right now is, I think not this weekend, but next weekend, I think I'm going to go to San Diego because there's a small NFT convention down there, and then
cool.
a big concert that some homies are going to. So I don't know about it. That's all I got right now. Like this weekend.
Bro, as much as you give me hate for being on the East Coast, and I am sitting with two West Coasters here as I sit here today, but as much as you give me hate on the East Coast, I was born out on the West Coast in San Diego. So enjoy your time in Sandog there.
Sandog.
Don R is saying OVOT. Are any of you actually using and excited about music NFTs and what platforms? Now, I'm going to get out of the ring on this one because I really, other than our experience with Music Mondays here on the channel and getting all that information from Jared T and Louis C. Rhymes and all them, I just haven't been a big music NFT proponent. I just feel like it's not there as far as like attracting my interest in what's going on. Other than like dope artists, don't get me wrong.
And that's why you should look at it, Q. You know, that's what happened, at least to me, when Punks and fucking Apes came out. I was like, it's too early. What is there in there, right? And then bam, it went away. I am super, super pumped about music NFTs. No expert like some of our other co-hosts are. But I'll tell you right off the bat, I'm very bullish on Block Tones and Hume Collective by Gino the Ghost. I have Mike Shinoda, OG Web3 music artist, just released Wind Chimes, which is like really, really cool. I would totally suggest anybody out there to go check that out. It's really innovative. It's kind of like QQL, but for music. Kids of the Apocalypse, Pills RX, Chill Pills RX. Brick is doing some IRL stuff that's really cool in LA. And then probably a label. I'm looking forward to see what's going on with that. I think it's going to be something similar to like One Of on Tezos, by the way, gift. Badass. I'm bullish on that platform as well. Yeah, dude. Music NFTs, I think, are going to have their time in the sun. And when they do, all it takes is one, as we all know, right? It takes that one spark and you'll see them run up, right? Because right now, there's no clear winner.
Yeah, and so far, other than looking at some really innovative, cool music artists doing, art, sort of like visual, like pairing visual art with music in unique ways, Pat Dimitri comes to mind as somebody who's doing really cool things. Other than that, I have not spent a lot of time focusing on music NFTs, other than now. And we actually were able to get Son Sound on GM Web3, do a special allow list for the community on this project. I actually went and swept the floor the other night. I picked up 10 more, or 8 or 10 more, because it looked like volume was popping. They're about to have the soul binding going live. And Son Sound is trying to do some really big, innovative things in the music side of the equation. So anyway, not financial advice. I'm just letting y'all know that the 2 floors that I swept in the last couple of days are Son Sound and then the Use by BFF. I think as far as women-led projects and even just great projects in general, they seem to be really put together, and I haven't been in on the BFF ecosystem yet. So I went and swept the floor there too.
Yo, Gibbs, are you holding a tiger on Sand Sound? Those things are dope, man.
I don't have a tiger. Wait.
Can we look at this in real time? Drop it in the private chat. I'll open it up.
The art is fire on Sand Sound. I will say that.
All right, I'll pull it up. Well, yeah, because it's Crow Magnus and Brian Lee from Oniforce and some of the other people that were behind that. Like Oniforce has its issues. Obviously, there's been a lot of drama with that team, and it was like hyped up really high, and then you can argue like that's just been kind of messy the last year. But the artwork is still one of the dopest like PFPs out there. And that was created by Brian Lee, one of my favorite artists in the space. Where is Son? Hold on, I'll find it. Give me 1 second. Yeah, that was created by one of the dopest artists in the game. And it's Son Origin. Here we go. Yeah. I found it right here.
Yeah, drop that in the private chat. I do want to pull it up. Other than that, I do want to get to one of the stories that we actually had on the docket today related to one of the better known artists in the space, Damien Hirst. And I want to pull this up because this was a piece of news that was pretty big that was dropped about a couple weeks ago to a month ago. And then this actually came through. and was live streamed a couple days ago now. So Damien Hirst live streams burning of $10 million art for NFT project GIF. We talked about, Damien Hirst and the actual burning of the NFT and whether that was an actually ethical thing to do. It actually got to like really, high level conversation there in the GM Web3 morning show. So, I mean, this actually was live streamed. Do you feel any different about it now, or how do we feel about it in general, Biggie?
I feel better. I feel like the fact that he made it public is like the closure and the fulfilling of the promise of this project, because it's art, it's performance art, and that was built into it from the get-go. So for those of you who don't know, Damien Hirst is one of the biggest artists in the world in terms of actual value and sales. He might be the biggest. He's a huge artist. He launched his project called The Currency as an experiment on Ethereum last year, just over a year ago now. And the experiment was that there's, I think it's 10,000. So there's like 10,000 NFTs, and each of those corresponds with a physical piece of art. And so there's 10,000 physical pieces of art, and there's 10,000 NFTs. And instead of just saying, hey, you get the NFT, you get to claim the physical, he said, actually, both of these are pieces of art, and I want to know which one is more valuable. So you get to vote. As the collector, you decide which one do you keep and which one do you burn. Are you going to keep the NFT and burn the physical Damien Hirst piece? Or are you going to take that physical Damien Hirst that you can hang up in your house and burn the NFT? And it was almost a 50-50 split. So I actually find this really fascinating. About 52%, 51 or 52% of people took the physical, but almost 50% kept the NFT over a physical Damien Hirst. And then he literally burned all the physical pieces of art that corresponded to the NFTs that were burned.
Actually, a great conversation piece.
NFTs that were kept, he burned the physical piece.
Gotcha. Okay. So, this is a great conversation piece, because then you go into why someone would keep an NFT over a physical piece, why someone would want the physical piece over the NFT. I get back to, again, kind of the pragmatic approach of a lot of these people probably are buying it to, flip or invest, and there's a little bit more liquidity in NFTs. I think we had that conversation when this was first brought up. If you want to actually sell this at a certain point and it be very easy, I mean, like 1, 2, 3 clicks. Some blockchains are better than others for that, by the way, Solana. But anyways, if you want to keep the NFT, that allows you to have a little bit of the liquidity as opposed to trying to sell a physical piece. Oh, you're muted.
You're muted.
Production.
Rookie.
Oh, no. Full rug?
Full rug? All right. Jump out and jump back in, bro. RIP, RIP. We can't hear you, bro. So yeah, it is fascinating. I think to your point, liquidity is one of the many reasons why you might actually prefer an NFT at this point over a physical piece of art. To move a physical piece of art, to warehouse it, to move it, to frame it, and then actually go sell it, to take it, to find somebody that can actually help you find a market for it, market it, and then get it sold. There's a lot more steps. That is a lot more high touch, more energy consumption. It's not nearly as easy to try and get your money out of a physical piece. Even a Damien Hirst, it's a small painting, roughly around this big. You can see it in the articles and on the live stream where he was burning all of them. And also to me, like the fact that it's kind of like, even though they're each unique and a one of one, it's kind of like a large edition. So how does that affect the value of those physicals? And then also keeping the NFT when there's now like only 4,800 of them makes those more valuable too. So I don't know.
Biggie, do we have you?
Fascinating.
Can you hear me?
Yes, you're good.
Nice.
Take it away.
Yeah, I love this argument. I think also, I don't know if while I was rugged, you mentioned it, but permanence, right? Like, I mean, how many people collect art and have an accident happen and their house burns down and you lose a valuable piece of art? Also, when it's something like a Damien Hirst, possibly it could go to be worth millions of dollars. And when you get to an art piece like that, you have to be very careful about how you take care of it. Maintenance itself, right, is an issue after a prolonged period of time. And eventually, if it's worth a lot of money for tax purposes, a lot of rich people, what they do is keep these pieces of art, which they can't display. They have to go through these massive deals with art galleries and different museums and stuff. And so they spend their whole time in free ports on airports for, you know, tax purposes and also for security purposes. Whereas with, you know, as in digital art form, how easy is it to sign a transaction and lend your art to a different museum or gallery, right? And again, like as you said, the flipping of it is also a plus, right? It's you just have a market, a much more liquid and fast-paced market there. I'm bullish about this burning of the art stuff, but I am also a little bit conflicted. You know, like I think this is the third project that we've heard about, right? There's the Banksy one, which I also agree with, right? Like this one with Damien Hirst, like that was the mechanism that was stated from the get-go, right? Which was awesome. The Banksy one, it almost feels like it's right in line with Banksy's antics, right? Now, there's the other one, which is like a Frida Kahlo. Now, that one's a bit messed up. Like, I'm not too positive on it. Again, you know, you could argue that for permanent sake, you know, you're saving it for posterity. But on the other hand, like, you know, Frida Kahlo wasn't around in that time, and to, you know, burn a piece of art
NFTs
like
weren't,
that. Ouch.
yeah. NFT technology was not contemporary with her at all, so it feels totally disjointed from what she was about, or the way she lived her life, the way she created her art. Yeah, at least like Banksy could, you know, come out against or make a statement if he wanted to, and by not, he's also just kind of saying like, it is what it is. You know, silence is also a statement in its own way, right? Yeah, man, the Frida Kahlo thing, like that's a whole other thing. But for those of you who don't know, basically somebody kind of tried to recreate the burnt Banksy scenario with a physical Frida Kahlo painting in Mexico, and it has not been received. In fact, they're facing potential charges from the Mexican authorities over it, because she is her artwork, and Frida Kahlo is basically a national treasure. so it's pretty controversial.
Yeah. One question there was the art piece that was burned transitioned into an NFT. Was there any like NFT component to that? Okay, there was.
Yeah, that's so they're trying to move the physical art on chain, and the idea is that like you make it the only one, or you make it more valuable by getting rid of the physical, or you use the performative act of burning that as sort of part of the marketing as well, for hey, we're moving this on the chain, and then they're fractionalizing it on chain. So then they're turning that one NFT from that one physical that no longer exists into like 10,000 parts or something, you know, pieces.
Yeah, that's a rabbit hole conversation. If you want to finish up there, Biggie, we can move on.
It's a strange like concept, right? Like I remember, I don't know if you guys recall when like one of these punk owners like killed his punk and then like forged like, I think it's like 500. I forget the name of the project. They're really cool. They're like brothers of that punk that was sent to a burn address and killed. And I feel like with this Frida Kahlo piece, like that's what he was trying to do, but kill a piece of art that is so sacred for so many people and was not conceived for that purpose. It's awkward, right? Whereas like, for example, the Banksy, like even he defaces his own art, right? Like there's that infamous like Christie's moment when somebody bid like God knows how many millions of dollars in his art and then he started shredding it. And then his art is worth even more. So I'd like to think that Banksy got a chuckle from that antic in the Web3 space. Frida Kahlo, not so much.
Prodigy's in the chat saying physical art goes bad. Literally look at the care they have to use for certain art, like room temperature, humidity, a lot of other factors, whereas NFTs won't be hurt by elements of nature. So the provenance part that you're talking about. We have to move on to the next piece here. Biggie, by the way, thank you for hopping in here today, man. We didn't know, it was like a last minute ad. I know we're having some audio issues there for just a half second, but you're killing it today.
Dude, how can I not, man? You guys got me so jazzed up, man. And like, just I was at the playground with my family and everything, and driving back, my day like cleared up, and I was like, dude, I need to. You guys are like turning me into an addict here. I love it.
Love it. That's what we want to do, man. If you are interested in being a fanatic with us, please let us know. Edgar here is in chat saying Tom Sachs Rocket Factory had some awesome mechanics with the physical rockets. Keep, donate, or shred. Great project. Only 900 physical rockets remain. We do have to move on to the next piece and next topic, but definitely good takes there from everybody. If you are listening right now on or watching on Twitter, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure right now to leave a like or retweet and like on those videos. We appreciate you guys so much for doing so. It helps the actual episode. It helps get these mugs out to everybody and for us to accomplish our mission at the end of the day. These are the topics we have today. The main topics is DeGods A RUG. There's a lot of things to talk about with them. They did have the 0% royalties piece that just came out, and there's some other updates that we need to get to. GameFi report, although I don't know how much time we'll spend on that. They had like a Q3 recap, just kind of an updated maintenance on how the GameFi space, that's the play to earn space. If you guys have been paying attention, that's the new rebrand for play to earn. And then which blockchain is second best? Now this is going to get heated. So if you guys are not, a fan of seeing blood, you might want to not be here when that portion gets up. But before we get started, I wanted to get to this main story. This has been an ongoing thing for the last 2 or 3 days. Decentraland was called out, and to extension, a lot of the Metaverse, so like Sandbox and other things, were called out for their daily active user count. Now, these are projects that have tokens that are valued in the hundreds of millions, if not billion, when you talk about market cap for like a Decentraland. And Dap Radar had a report that came out that said these are how many people are in Decentraland. Now, it was a little bit misconstrued. I think that was the point that GiftEd was making here when he was talking about just looking at data, right? Like we can't just look at the data when we're looking at something like blockchain analytics, because, for example, in this Decentraland piece, there were people in Decentraland that were walking to and from, taking part in events that weren't actively counted because they did not interact with the blockchain. So that was the piece. Going back into the article, Decentraland did respond here, and they said, let's have a look at our September data. So they said 60,000 monthly active users. This is how many wearables. This is how many DAO proposals. Basically saying, fuck you. We actually have a community and we actually have active users in our space. To which point Dap Radar kind of tracked back a little bit and said, quote unquote, the key metrics Dap Radar provides are based on smart contracts, which are mainly submitted by Dap developers. The Decentraland team is currently updating their list of smart contracts, and we're therefore recalculating their metrics. Thoughts?
Yeah, this is so I'm really glad, first of all, that that Decentraland published this information and replied to this, because we were talking about like, if they're getting less than 50 DAUs, that's really, really bad. But it was misleading because there's no context around the data and how they're reporting and defining daily active users on that Dap Radar report. And to your point, Q, this speaks to a larger issue happening in the space and really in life with all the misinformation, disinformation in general, is that a lot of times there's zero context provided when people are cherry picking data points and trying to push some kind of agenda. And so I've got beef with NFT Go's semi-annual report that they put out a month or two ago, because all of it was focused on volume alone, and there was zero context in their analysis. And so much of it was basically like pushing Azuki as like the greatest project of all time, when the reason why there was so much volume was because of the volatility created when people found out that the people behind the project, the non-creators behind one of the biggest projects, were rugging other projects. So it's like the fact that there's no like context at all for why there's so much volume, and just pushing volume as the reason why this is the biggest project out there that you should be paying attention to, that's harmful, in my opinion. That's really bad analysis. And so I'm very glad that Decentraland is replying, setting the record straight on like, this is actually monthly active users, breaking down the data more, providing that transparency so that, people like us aren't just looking at that single data point and misconstruing it like we were, assuming that there was some validity in what they were saying. Yeah, and a monthly active user could be defined a lot of different ways, but generally you think about it as people interacting within your ecosystem in some way, just as long as they're participating they're showing up, logging in, that day they were some kind of user, in my opinion. So the fact that they don't just have 38 people logging onto Decentraland a day is good news.
Yeah, I agree. I'm glad they clapped back. The news is notorious for using data to sound legitimate, and like you said, give cherry picking what angle they're trying to take with these stories, right? And honestly, like the argument with Decentraland and crypto voxels and all these metaverses, to expect them to be flourishing 100% at this point in time is just ridiculous, right? When we're talking about onboarding people into Web3 and just like the on-ramps themselves, right? And taking stuff out and using like a wallet and interacting with DeFi and then buying an NFT and then signing to go into, I mean, are you kidding me? Like this is like several steps ahead, that somebody needs to take in order to be able to interact with this. These platforms, are developing for long term, but like you can't expect them to be, what is it? The regular one, the one that's like sandbox, but
Minecraft
in real
or
life.
Roblox.
Yeah, exactly. Like how can you expect it to be that if just the basics are still being worked out, right? Like how to onboard people and give them like a good UI. So yeah, that's a shame that they're like. It feels like they just needed somebody to punch, and they picked Decentraland. Although I will say, not my favorite metaverse.
Well, listen, there's a lot of issues with, I think, all of the metaverses up to this point. We have this expectation of something that maybe is higher quality at this point. I think you could say something about literally all of the metaverses. Some games are coming out, I think like Blankos, My Pet Hooligans, which we had on the network 2 weeks ago, is developed. Like if you hop in there, it feels like a Web 2 game, which is an extension a little bit of a metaverse, an open world game. Don R is saying, Gifted is right. It's harmful misinformation. Hope the retraction gets some views, but the damage is done. Also, I mean, this gets glossed over in our space a little bit, but this is the token price for Decentraland. I mean, you could see maybe a front run of this announcement and then really the response of the announcement, right? Like it's down 10% in the last 7 days. Not that the whole market isn't fucking down in the last 7 days, specifically today, but this actually had an effect on token price. Interesting stuff that doesn't really get talked about. Whereas if this were stocks, you get into a legal situation almost.
Yeah, because everybody takes that data point at face value, just like we did, and so I would be pretty pissed. Yeah, if I was Decentraland too, I'd be wondering. I am curious, how in that initial report, DApp Radar actually clarified how they're defining daily active users. Because if they didn't actually clarify that or provide any sort of like, hey, by the way, the definition on this report is daily active users are just people that are transacting or doing whatever. That's really it's bad. It's not a good report, and they're doing a disservice, to your point, actually hurting the business and maybe metaverses more broadly.
Love it. All right. Be Creative is in the chat saying my comment was live sick. Yeah, we're going to throw up your comment. If you have comments, we're going to throw them up, of course. Thank you guys for contributing today. Be Creative is also saying 60K monthly active users for Decentraland is actually pretty good, which I would agree with. So
in a bear market?
Yeah, exactly. So Prodigy is here. Edgar Zoo NFT, who is getting after it yesterday. So definitely drop any information you got today, man, as we go along. Pax Mark, DJ Savage. We just appreciate you guys. We see a lot of OVOTs, our vibe, our tribe. That is the mantra of the community here. So moving into the next story. This has been another developing one, I think, slow developing over time, more slow than a lot of people would like, but DeGods is, I don't even think fully revealed. That's what you guys were talking about earlier today, right? I don't think the project has been revealed completely. I think was it Utes that's still not revealed? Correct me if I'm wrong there.
How long has it been?
It's been a minute.
Yes, it is Utes.
Okay, so it's Utes
like a month? Or are they beating like
it's
something
been a couple,
like oddities?
Because
oddities lasted like 3 months or something like that.
Yeah. So
I think people are impatient, but I think it's been like a couple weeks, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'd give them more time on that. I think the bigger issue here is that if the artist, literally again, the person who's created is supposed to be creating, allegedly is already created. We don't actually know if it's not revealed. But if that person who's like one of the key people behind the project, creating the lore, creating the IP, developing the world, putting out the asset, the original asset, which is that piece of art, if that person is exiting the building before it even reveals, it's
which GiftEd's
no.
GiftEd's front running the story here, but I'll pull it up on the screen really quick. It looks like Scum Soul, who was again the artist here on both DeGods and Utes by extension, he is leaving the project, and this was a post from him on October 11th saying that I left on October 7th. And then he goes on to, I believe, let me make sure I've got this right before I pull it up on the screen, but he goes on to kind of explain, why he left or what the situation is. And it gets to the topic of, well, one is first of all, like that's one of the first times that I've seen that happen where an artist is literally leaving pre-reveal. Like you can count on your hand how many times that's probably happened in the space, and whether or not now is DeGods or Utes a rug. And that's kind of it's an interesting topic, but it's also kind of it's kind of a joke. But like, what makes a project a rug is kind of the way I wanted to formulate that question. But anyways, thoughts on this story about the artist leaving? I know GIF, you already kind of laid it out, but any additional thoughts, and then Biggie as well.
I think calling it a rug is like a little bit premature. I mean, delayed delivery of the product, fine, you have a right to complain. Rug, to me, like specifically a rug is when somebody deliberately, does not deliver and is just a cash grab, right? Or deceives. I don't think DeGods is trying to do this, though it does bring up a very interesting question, right? Especially in the Web3 space, because in many other spaces, I think executives or for a brand say, if you're the artist and you leave or there's creative differences, they don't mind. Like they'll tell you right to your face, you're fucking replaceable. It doesn't matter. Like I'll get somebody to fucking do it. But in this particular case, I'm very curious to see, especially how far along they were. And already there has been like some teasers of what the expectations are. So I am curious to see what the creative differences were. And it'll be very interesting to see the kind of clout that this artist had over the project itself, right? So let's see.
That's a very nuanced, mature response. And I really love and appreciate that, Biggie. Rug is absolutely one of the most overused terms in the entire NFT world. But that's also because it's fun. But it's like, for instance, if you're not subscribed to the Web3 YouTube channel, you're a rug. You're rugging hard. But the way that I think about a rug, like what is it actually? It's about misrepresenting and missetting expectations and not delivering on things that you have sold people on, right? So if you tell people you're developing a world-class game and then you show, like, you hype it up and you show like this is what it's going to look like, and then people give you a bunch of money and then you've got no way of executing on that vision, that to me is a rug. If you lay out a whole roadmap and you sell people on that and people spend hundreds or thousands of dollars to buy into this roadmap that you sold them on, and then you can't execute on that without any sort of like communication about how you're pivoting, you just kind of like
refunds.
Don't.
And no refunds.
Yeah,
right?
there's no refunds,
like,
and you just don't. That's a rug. Yeah. So yeah, to me, it's about the expectations and the execution on those expectations, and are you selling people something that you aren't delivering? That to me is what a rug is. So I agree with you, Biggie. It's a little bit early to call this a rug. I think people are jumping to conclusions there, but I will say it's in my opinion a very, very bad indicator of how the team is doing, where they're going. If the lead artist who's responsible for the world, the core asset, the characters, the art, the lore, creating all of that, if that person is leaving before it's revealed, it's not a good sign, in my opinion. And I think does, at least in how I would be judging it, I think it increases the likelihood of them rugging.
Mm-hmm. So many things to talk about here. I will preface this with saying, like, most small businesses fail. So most NFT projects will fail. And I think it's just because the industry is tied in together that we all kind of get lumped into this thing where if something happens at a small business like this, then it looks bad for the whole space. But I think, and we will go into the tweet here from Scum Soul, who was the artist on this project. My issue with this, when I try to defend the Web3 space, when I try to defend what we're doing and say we shouldn't have all these guardrails and all this security and all this people getting involved, and then some like just basically like bad processes happen, basically. Like they just, I'm losing the term, but like degen, low, I don't even want to call it low class. I'm completely botching on the term, but just they're not rugging, but they're essentially doing it. And it's unprofessional is the right word. I was looking for another one, but it'll do what I'm trying to go here. Basically, there are so many things tied in with being able to, that guy got paid in NFTs. He is now listing those, even though he set it above floor. We'll go into his post, but like this is all just kind of bullshit. And this is the stuff that we then have to deal with when people say, oh, we're coming into the space because this guy was associated with the project. Now he's selling NFTs after he leaves. And it's just a shit show, man. And, you know, it's tough, but we'll go into it. Yeah.
The fact that his name is Scum doesn't help, unfortunately. Like, you know, obviously we're all here, but no, I think somebody joked on GM Web3, you know, it might have been Mo Runda was saying, when Scum is leaving the building, like, what does that say? You know, and that's unfortunate to your point about the perspectives, you know, for those of us who are trying to build a healthy, long-term sustainable ecosystem, like this is always, it's always these things that make it harder. Unfortunately. You know, it's just true. And to your point about professionalism, like my understanding, I don't know, like I'm not in the Utes or the DeGods, so like, you know, take everything I say with a grain of salt. That's the context that I'm coming from. I'm just observing because they're getting all the headlines, they're getting all the news. That's why we're talking about it. Frank DeGods and the Utes have been at the front of all the headlines for months now with the fucking Ute list, you know, the new application meta after going through all this stuff. But, you know, my understanding, again, somebody in the chat, if I'm wrong, please set me straight. But I believe Frank DeGods, this guy who's been put on this pedestal, who's got millions of dollars, maybe even tens of millions of dollars. He's got all of this attention, all this responsibility. My understanding is he's like a 23, 24-year-old dude that's fucking anonymous. He's anonymous. So like you can't have any accountability or expectation for this dude who may never have even held down a real job in his life, much less been responsible for delivering a complicated technological product to a global market. So like, it's crazy that people keep giving tens of millions of dollars to undoxed, unproven, anonymous young people that have no professional experience.
And professional is the term that you helped me out with. The term I was actually looking for was Bush League. Like literally this, and to your point, following up with what you're saying, he could be a really young dude. And that is unfortunate when it comes to the amount of criticism that they're about to get. It's just a weird situation because you have, again, a Bush League situation with what's going on that reflects poorly on the space, but then hiding behind the veil of, what the hell are we doing here? Like you can even see in this tweet, he says, what the hell are we doing? Who the fuck cares about profits, right? Like it's all just so unprofessional and it looks bad for the rest of us that are trying to actually build an open and decentralized future. And I hate to like get up on that fucking pulpit, but when you do something like this and then you hide behind the fact that we should be able to do whatever the hell that we want, it's cringe. It's so fucking cringe, and that's the cringiest part of the whole space.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's going to have to be some balancing out at some point, and obviously, like regulation is coming, whether we like it or not. So, like, some of this stuff is not going to work out. I think you know, especially when you start to see the SEC making examples out of people probing some of these bigger projects, and we also know, like. Anyway, I think a lot of these projects that have basically misrepresented and rugged for millions of dollars are potentially going to be liable for that at some point, unfortunately, for them. And that's the truth. And so I do think that, you know, hopefully they're going to be all right. Hopefully the team can deliver and make good on all the things that they've promised. I don't know, like nobody's hoping that this fails. Like, I don't think, to your point, like, we're talking about it and we're being critical of it because it's so unprofessional and it's more sort of just like bad, you know, like like smudges on the NFT space and what we're all doing here.
Mm-hmm.
But there's so many examples at this point. Pixelmon, somebody mentioned, the whole Kevin situation is another great example where people threw $70 million at some kid who promised the world with like an MMORPG blockchain video game, who had never developed a video game and didn't have a team to do that. It's just crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
The Biggie, jump in whenever, man. We do have some great comments coming in here. DeGods is saying, I suppose that's the wrong question. Are buyers still entering is the key metric, which is, I'll get to that here in a second. Tweeting to end seems like the kind of subtle negative slamming thing a disgruntled employee might say if still under NDA and non-compete. DeGods is asking, is floor taking a hit? Do holders care? We just pulled that up while we're live. So it does look like the floor price is being affected a little bit here. We can see the floor price was at 360-ish on the 8th of October, and now it's trading around 260, 269. So that's the floor price of DeGods right now. So appreciate you guys commenting along here. Be Creative is saying, if Shepard Fairey leaves his NFT project with his art on it, I'm not personally supporting it. The core point of supporting an NFT project is supporting the artist and their art. That is the free market at work there. Again, like if you don't want to deal with this shit from DeGods, don't support it. Don't get in it. And it's been a rug since the beginning. The 0% royalties gif, if you want to touch on that as well, that was another kind of cringe thing that was added to this checklist of items saying,
real quick, I just want to add one particular thing, and it's this. When you are developing an ecosystem that empowers artists the way crypto has, they haven't had this level of success or power for the longest time, and us as consumers, it's very rare that we've been able to have this level of intimacy and participation and direct contact with them, right? You need to understand artists are not all professional, right? Like they are a little bit kooky. It's what makes them special, but you best be ready to deal with maybe some prima donna shits every now and then. Like you said, it's part of the deal here.
That's fair. And it's obviously a very complicated situation. Team dynamics, it's like a family. It can be dysfunctional, and especially when you got a bunch of young people without a lot of experience dealing with professional situations, the chance of that blowing up and not going well is really high. I think, I side with B. Like I come from this as like the whole reason I'm in the space is about empowering creatives and artists. And to me, when I'm looking at a project that I want to buy into, and I'm looking at like, what's the value here for me? Why do I think it's going to do well? So much of it rests on the art, the artist, the IP, the team behind it. And so to me, this is like a bunch of red flags and one red flag. And that's due to me. And like, what are my values? Because when I'm now thinking about, okay, so where's this project going? Is it just going to be like primarily a utility token at this point? Like, what is the utility that they're going to be consistently adding to this project if the IP and the lore and the art isn't really there, or if the artists have abandoned it and they're not going to keep developing it in the future? So I see something that now has to basically focus more on utility and become a utility token, at least in the short term. I don't know. Those are my thoughts. It's hard. 0% royalties is a good way to set up well. No money left, can't build later, which is a whole nother aspect to this stuff. The royalties portion that we were mentioning was that DeGods announced that all of their projects under their umbrella are essentially going to 0% royalties. There was a little bit of gamesmanship here with maybe they were front running Magic Eden, which is the idea was maybe Magic Eden was going complete 0% royalties, but it's just like, go ahead. So, okay, we already talked about this, and so I don't want to spend that much time, but I have a couple additional points that I've been thinking about. High level, I think the 0% royalty thing is a PR stunt, and it's profiting off of the conversation and profiteering off of sort of like hurting artists' ability to enforce their royalties. And so I don't love it. It feels gross to me. It doesn't actually provide utility. But the other part of this, of what I said, is that if it turns out Magic Eden is going 0% royalties across the platform, and they had insider information and front ran this like they were doing, like this was a gesture, an altruistic, like, hey, we're helping the community and the flippers. which again, long term, I don't think you are. But if it's that, if it is basically the equivalent of insider trading and them front running this shit, I said this is one of the biggest NFT scandals that's ever happened in the space, and I still stick by that. And part of the reason why is, you know, one of the other really big scandals has been the OpenSea employee. I forget his name. I think it was Nate maybe.
Chastain.
So he was insider trading. He was working at the platform at OpenSea and then front running all of their front page announcements and profiting off of that insider information. That's he went to jail, right? I'm pretty sure that guy's in jail. I don't know. Somebody check me. Somebody check me.
I don't think he's in jail yet. But that is the Bush League shit we're talking about. He's being criminally
charged.
Yes.
He's being criminally charged, I believe, for insider trading. And that's one of the biggest other scandals. The reason why I think this is even worse is because if that's the situation, like OpenSea maybe they knew, but we don't know that OpenSea, the marketplace platform, was actually colluding with him to do this. It seems like primarily he was a lone actor within the organization profiting off of this. In this situation, this would be Magic Eden, the marketplace, giving insider information to their biggest, like one of their biggest projects to try and help them, like, I don't know, stay relevant or succeed or pump their own volume on their platform. If the marketplaces are colluding like that with projects and picking winners at that level, that to me is like, it's bad. It's really fucking bad.
I'm going to try to bring this back to some positive news. There are a little bit more pieces here that are coming in. Do NFT, be creative.
Let's go.
You guys are killing it there in the chat. So guys, again, we're going to kind of go on to our next topic, but thank you so much for kind of adding your input there. Leave a like and sub on the channel right now, or we're going to end the stream. Otherwise, we will continue to go. You know, one thing that I do want to talk about here, and it leads into our next topic, which is what is the second best blockchain? We've been talking about a lot of Solana projects here on today's episode. You know, DeGods, Magic Eden. These are all in the Solana ecosystem. You're muted now, sir. So
one project. It's DeGods and Utes. That's one project.
Magic Eden
projects, but
Magic Eden, the marketplace on Solana.
And I did mention Kids of the Apocalypse also, which is Solana based.
All right.
I just want to say Solana is the best blockchain known to in human history that has a beach for its name.
Okay, maybe you got us there, Q.
Okay, all right. Well, so that leads us into the the third topic of today, but the first question related to, which is, what is the second best blockchain? I think we're going to remove Bitcoin from this conversation because it's usually not in that realm of like user, apps or exactly. I mean, people are building on Bitcoin. Don't get me wrong. Like more people than I think. Like Lightning is a huge thing within the Bitcoin network, but we're going to leave that out of discussion right now for the larger discussion, which is what is the second best blockchain behind Ethereum. So drop it in the chat. I see Be Creative or Quantum Variant saying Cardano. So I'm going to try to figure out if there's a kick function here for Quantum Variant. But we had the argument this morning. Tezos was added. Solana was added. Too much applause. There was a lot of people that came in support of Solana, Biggie being one of them before he turncoated to Tezos. But yeah, let's just open the convo. What do you guys think? Second best blockchain up for debate here.
You already know where I am on this. I mean, it's definitely not Solana. So
why?
Literally, like somebody said this morning that like all of the PR, all the headlines that Solana is getting that you're trying to lean on is like that's a virtue or a value. All of it's around the rugs and then the downtime. The network keeps crashing and how centralized it is. So it's like if that's good PR for you, it's like Kanye West level PR. So I don't know. Like I do have a Sol wallet. I have my Sol address. I've got maybe a handful of NFTs. I am excited to see where Solana goes in the future. But if I was going to say that I think it's a better a chain or more like a cooler experience than Tezos, I couldn't say that with a straight face.
So you think Tezos right now is the second best blockchain behind Ethereum?
For artists,
No,
Yes.
no. Don't add
and
a.
art collectors, art collectors, artists, and yeah, the
Thoughts on this,
community.
Biggie?
Yes.
Oh man. Well, okay, so active users, if we want to go into that, whether that's Git commits or actually people, onboarding, getting new wallets created, money in the system and everything. I mean, I don't want to say they're both equal, but I do think Gibbs' point is valid in the sense that I'm a firm believer in like grassroots like movements. Like they're very hard to kill. They're very resilient. And I think Tezos has that in spades because when you think about what it costs to upgrade, to upload like a smart contract, if you're an artist, what it costs you in on Ethereum or Solana. I'm not sure what it is on Solana, to be honest, but I know Tezos has been notorious to be very user friendly, very accessible to artists and to collectors. And so I think that has staying power, especially when you think about generative art. There's a lot of focus on PFP projects and communities that have come around behind them. And for sure, they have their place in history, including CryptoPunks, which was generative. But I'm talking about like generative art, right? Like William Mapan or like Pindar Van Armen and stuff like that. Like all of these guys have started off in Tezos, right? Or experimented with it at first because that's where the most like loyal collectors are. So to Gibbs' point, I think that is a factor that should be considered, right? Because the tech itself is not going to save you. You can have the best tech in the world, but if you don't have adopters, it's not going to count, right? Like I think when you look at Solana, it's kind of like that degen chain right now at the moment, right? And it's it's amazing, like you said, because if you look at other like chains that I think are much more technologically stable, like Avalanche, like Near, they haven't had the outages that Solana has had. But regardless, Solana manages to stay in everybody's like sphere of influence or whatever, right? Like in the news. And I think that speaks also to the power of the dev team, right? Which everybody and like forget about us normies, right? But their biggest backers are just unwaveringly favorable to this team. So that has got to tell you also something about Solana that, at some point the hardware will catch up to the software, and some of the stuff that they're able to do is unseen in other blockchains. So hard to call, Q. Hard to call, man. That's why I turned
Wait,
coded.
can somebody? Okay, so can somebody name other than Stepin and Utes, which is not even revealed, like what is on Solana right now that's like super high quality, like
Audius,
really like you like
Audius.
that's an audio platform.
Yeah, Audius is it's like I think they're
Okay,
trying to do like Spotify.
So I'm talking about NFT projects, collectibles, art. Like what is something that
Okay,
you'd
so
be
now
like,
you're nitpicking though. Audius is a large project in this space that has a lot of user base. They pretty professional platform.
Okay, all right.
Okay, Bears.
I don't know if. Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like, OK Bears is the only thing that I have seen anybody talk about, and to me, they're just okay. Like straight up, it's literally trying to be like a Bored Apes. It's a Bored Apes wannabe.
So Give, have you checked out here, let me put the link up here. So Exchange Art on Solana, that's like their marketplace for capital A art. And there's some banging artists there as well. Again, nothing compared to Tezos, like the names, right? But it's definitely something to keep an eye. I'm keeping an eye on. Other than that, I would tell people here to look at the Secret Skelly Society. Pumping my bags, chilling here. I am, and I will say it's actually a cross-chain project from Near that just launched on Solana, but very strong, cultish, fervent audience and big-time builders. They dominate on Near, and what they're doing on Solana, I can't speak too much to it. It's 100% degen, not financial advice, but just check out the art. It's fucking badass.
There's
the skull art.
Love that link. I also dropped that in the chat if you guys want to give that a look. There's a little bit of an element to what me and Gif have been kind of putting our heads together on for the last 2 months as Web3 was getting set to launch, was this like fragmentation rather than kind of hoping that we can all kind of get together on one chain. And certainly that had a lot to do with Ethereum and the gas fees and all these things. People want to like create their own ecosystems where that can go better, but it just sucks to see sometimes that the community and the ecosystem, and what I mean by that is Web3, gets so fragmented where there could be a really dope project, but because it's segmented on the 100th project down the chain, or even the 15th project down the chain, that it doesn't get the notoriety it deserves and therefore maybe dies out. I mean, I also have on the list here, if you guys want to maybe look at this, and Gif, I'll get your take here in a sec, but like if you want to take a look, like as we go down this list, there's other chains that we don't talk about, right? Binance chain, Cardano was mentioned.
Yeah, because they're not really affecting our day in, day out in the NFT space really, and don't have the apps and utilities that we're using. Maybe they got other stuff that I'm not. They do. Cardano is the number 8 by market cap chain out there. What is for NFT collectors, artists, the stuff that we primarily focus on, like what is Cardano being used for? Like I don't understand. Like I know everybody talks about the tech, although who was it over here, Paxmark, is saying that it's basically using an outdated coding system that no developers want to even use, called Haskell. So like I'm not in the weeds on that. I'd love to know why is Cardano the number 9 chain in all of blockchains right now?
Yeah, that is a loaded question. That is a loaded. I've been asking that question, and people have been asking that question since 2016,
Dude,
17.
Chain has functionality. Doge Chain has functionality right now. Cardano, please show me a project. It's like this academic chain, and Charles Hodgkinson, who does a great job of like going out there and shilling. I mean, it's a very big part of it, right?
I like him. Yeah, to be fair, I think he's a brilliant guy. Yeah. So maybe to your point,
it feels like he's stuck into this ivory tower, right? And every time you talk to him, smart contracts are coming, and we're gonna do it, and we're focusing on Africa. We don't care about you people that can like actually like afford all these other things, microtransactions. Please, like launch already. How much capital and brain power have you had? Been around since 2018. Dude. Doge Chain has functionality already. Come on.
One coin that doesn't get talked about a lot, or one project that I was very intimately, involved in, and what I mean by that was like guys in the ICO Alert office, now going back to like grandfather days, were super heavily involved in EOS. They had a block producer on EOS. They were like, dude, Dan Larimer was on Charles Hoskinson's level at the time. They were, I don't want to get too far into it, but at least EOS completely dropped the ball in a lot of ways, but at least they got out there. At least they were out there failing. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of it had to do with them having one of the biggest ICO raises in the space, and people point to that and be like, you haven't delivered, all this stuff. But at least they got out there and started a DAO. At least they started their chain. They had all these problems. But Cardano kind of is like, it points a finger and says, you're doing all these things wrong, and yet you haven't put yourself out there.
Then that creates another risk, which is that like you create all this buildup and hype, and you haven't been out there just putting out MVPs and iterating quickly and like testing and failing and learning, and like letting devs like release and like support. Like you don't have that ecosystem, and you're just building up all this hype. And like, so when they do finally start to like launch some utility, if it doesn't go well, there's now so much expectation put on that it's going to really hurt them if and when bugs come up or things go wrong, right? So I don't know. Like again, I watch a lot of Charles Hoskinson. I don't know if I'm saying it right. I think he's a brilliant guy. So I could see why he's attracting so much investment and why people are very bullish. I'm bullish on him, and like he's the guy that goes in front of Senate committees and defends blockchain. So like I appreciate what he's doing. I'm not clear where the utility is to that point, and so it's confusing to me. It's just confusing. Yeah.
And there's something to be said, GIF, about like these blockchains that are like in the top 25. If you look at them, they all have like a hype man or a front man, whether it's Vitalik or Gavin Wood.
You have to,
or whoever. It's like you have to go. Like one of the things about Web3 that I've seen, I think it's NFT God talk about, is like your tech can be amazing, the art can be incredible, the concept can be spectacular, but if you are not out there like engaging with your audience on a daily basis, you don't get Web3 then, and you're not going to get the traction that you need, right? And I think that's one of the reasons I think he's been able to remain relevant, because like you said, he is very smart, but after a while, man, like, it's not like he's not the only guy out there, right? And there's other like academic chains that have come along with equally as many PhDs as these motherfuckers have, but that are actually launching and doing stuff. And I don't know how long this guy can keep it. It's impressive. It's impressive that it's 2022 and this motherfucker's still top 10 with zero.
I fucking 100% agree. We're having a specific conversation about Cardano. I don't know what the fuck's going to happen to Cardano in the near future, but I do think that the ecosystem, like, again, I'm pointing to Web3, I'm pointing to crypto. It's so large that there are things going on these chains that we don't know about. And it's cool, but it also sucks. It's like all these different features at the same time, where, back in 2014, it was probably like 2,000 individuals just like circle jerking and fucking trading and doing all this stuff to like try to make themselves money on, Discord or on Slack or wherever the conversation was happening at the time. It's so much bigger now. So it's tough.
The circle jerk gets bigger.
Yeah, it's
slowly,
a huge circle jerk now. There's even some females here in the space, which I don't even think there were any in the space back then. But Gavin Wood's a great example.
Wow.
Polkadot. There's a lot of shit going on. They were like the darlings of the next, layer 2 or the layer 1 wave that was going to happen after Ethereum. Dot's completely. I mean, I haven't heard about Polkadot in fucking a year.
Much, really.
Okay, here's another question. So, given now Ethereum has moved successfully, very successfully, it appears, to proof of stake, why would you choose Solana? Like, if you were developing a game, a big brand thing like Starbucks Odyssey, or some big ecosystem launch, a big project that needs scale, it needs speed, it needs low transaction costs, why would you choose Solana over Polygon?
Business development, when it comes that all these conversations develop in that conversation is what I'm trying to talk about. Like Solana may be approaching you when they see you building your project, being like, we'll support you with X amount of money. If Polygon doesn't do that, then at the end of the day, you're not going to do that. So maybe there's
so what you just said is not based on the tech or the chain or any of that. It's literally about the money mechanics and like getting promotional support.
Getting runway to build a company.
Tech support. Okay. So
and that's why all these chains launch these like ginormous grant funds, right? With like Phantom and Avalanche, like 600 million, 200 million, just to draw these developers and these mercenary capital too onto their chains. And then hopefully they stay there, right? But in the end, I think it also has to do a lot with like the synergies that you're able to create with other projects, right? If you're launching like something, I mean, Solana was very big. I'm rugging on the name, but the central order book, right, that they developed, like only
Radium.
No, it wasn't Radium. It was the other one. But they basically that is not possible on Ethereum, right? And so if you're developing some of these like very like intricate financial markets and you need that level of transaction speed and like central order books, then yeah, you go to Solana, right? Like you might be able to find better synergies there.
Yeah.
And I think with Ethereum, it's just, I mean, they have the first mover advantage, right? They have the whole ecosystem, and now with like all the roll-ups coming up online, I mean, yeah, it's very robust.
Tech feels like it's like the 4th or 5th down the chain when it comes to, and as pun intended, down the chain when it comes to what's important. Ethereum doesn't have the best tech. It doesn't. There's like 10 different chains that have better tech than Ethereum, but they're maybe more decentralized narrative, or they have the community where the money is going to be spent. Like Ethereum's tech is not the best when it comes to looking at that top 100. It's not.
Nope.
So
that is very true,
dude. A lot of great points here. The last point I will make to Gifted to try to sway him over to Solana is that talking about business development and all this different stuff, FTX is the largest player in the space. They're very much the Coinbase of this last cycle. Sam Bankman-Fried, FTX are tied into that Solana ecosystem. So with their support, with SBF behind them, maybe that's the cause for them to go hard.
That's definitely going to give them a lot more runway. Yeah. Sorry, what was that, Biggie?
Oh no, I was just saying Serum was the project that I was thinking about, the central order book that was like very revolutionary at the time when Solana came up, onboarded a lot of these like DeFi projects, which are getting rugged at the moment, right?
Any last thoughts here, GIF? No last thoughts here?
I mean,
are you a Solana fan?
I agree with you. Look, I'm not a fan of Solana. I'm trying to understand like the values and like why I would invest more of my time, energy, liquidity there versus other chains. So it's just the conversation. I'm not trying to shit on Solana. The reason that we're having these conversations in the first place is because we care. Like we want artists to succeed. We want creators and developers to succeed, and we want investors and people like ourselves, collectors, and people that are putting all of their time and energy to have wins and create great experiences. So that's why we're talking about any of this stuff. I do agree with you, Q, that Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX, being behind Solana or integrated with it, that does speak to the fact that it probably has quite a bit of runway to go. It probably has a big chance of being successful on some level. I am actually pretty bullish on Solana. That's why I've got gifted.sol. That's why I set up my Phantom wallet, and that's why we've been doing tutorials. We've been doing onboarding onto Solana in the GM Web3 show, just like we've been doing with Tez. To me, actually, Tez, Solana, and Ethereum together that's the triumvirate, the troika, the trifecta of like the three best NFT ecosystems that exist right now. And that's why it was fun to do this battle of the blockchains today.
Hash Rhymes has a great point, as she always does. Solana attracts flippers versus Tezos is for collectors. So there's a home almost for people who value different things.
Different ethoses. And that's one of the fascinating things and why it's so fun. And people build their identities around these brands, that are these chains, right? And that's why it's so cool to see, how are people liking different communities? How do they vibe differently? What values do they get? Why are they spending their time on a certain chain versus another chain? I don't know. I love these combos.
And wait until like interchain chains start launching like their products. I like Cosmos, Thorchain, Axelar. You have all the layer 0 chains that are coming up. I mean, I think the whole multi-chain world is valid argument. There's too many people trying to draw parallels with like, oh, well, only 3 chains are going to survive, right? Because we only have Amex, Visa, and MasterCard. So only 3 can survive. No, son, what you need is options. You need many, many, many of options, And yes, sir, you need Ethereum. You need your EVMs. Yes, sir.
just in case you're wondering which chain actually is the winner.
GIF, you need to get back into the weight room, dude. Oh shit, there it is. There you go. I
was gonna say.
I don't know. I'm just saying, if you're wondering, it's that one right there. It's the winner. That's the one that really matters.
Love it. As I said in the GM Web3 morning show too, it's great to have people who are interested in this other tech too. Because there are still people, if you guys don't know this, there are still people who are on Bitcoin screaming their heads about what we're doing here in the space right now, saying Bitcoin is the only thing that people should be done. That Bitcoin, there shouldn't be necessarily maximalists in this space because the tech always improves and we move on. There is a space for Bitcoin. There is a space for all of these things. So, yeah. All right, kumbaya, love it. Please like the episode if you do like Biggie's hat. I think people love the hat more than the episode, honestly.
Thank you.
The hat is lit. Yeah, the hat was getting the most comments probably. More like the number one blockchain.
That's my makeshift shank on it too.
Yeah, that's dope. I was gonna ask what that was. Sick.
Can we throw up the Oniforce giveaway? Can we throw that up real quick, and then maybe also just throw up the sand sound after that, just to see the art for 2 seconds before we shut it down? Because it's super cool art, and Crow Magnus is a beast, and I
can do all the above. Your wish is my command, GIF. There you go.
Yeah.
Let's scroll through some of these. Maybe pull up 1 or 2 that you think look cool, and just check out the detail and the colors. It's
Dude, check
really,
out look for Look for the Tigers, Q. The Tigers are so fire, man. They're
Yeah,
amazing.
maybe go to the highest listings. Go to the highest listings. Let's see what's in there.
Tiger, burning
Price
bright.
high, price high to low. You can just go to price high to
yeah.
low. Yeah. There's a tiger. Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. Open that shit
Bullish
up.
much?
So
300.
so you see the triangle, that's actually like well, actually I don't know how much I can say, but let's just say that there's interesting hardware, audio hardware associated with this. So it's a really unique project. The art's dope. So just shouting them out. We're not affiliated, but I'm a big fan of a lot of the people that are on that team, and I did sweep the floor. So full transparency, I have a bag of sand sound. So yeah, we talked about that earlier in case you're just joining. So that's why we were pulling that up. But yeah, let's also if there's any others you want to check out, I'm here for it.
Yeah, I'm pulling
What's
up
that
the
frog?
The Oni Force as well.
Yeah,
Is that a
I'm looking
frog
at that
thing?
too.
With
The gray one, right?
left,
Yeah.
dude, it's beautiful, man.
That
It's got like
is
it's got
definitely a poisonous
speakers. Yeah, it's got speakers on its throat, I think. That's cool.
It's got bass right now.
All right, we got the announcement pulled up here as well. This is the Oni Force announcement that is celebrating the launch of the Web3 network. If you are not familiar with what's going on, I don't know how you're not. We've been literally for 72 hours straight. We've been in your ear about this, but we are doing this giveaway. I will drop the link in the chat as well if you want to participate. But this is in celebration of the Web3 network, which has just merged with Lad City, and we are off into the unknown and into the future with you guys. Thank you so much, our Vibe, our tribe. I will let my co-hosts here have the last word here before we head out, but thank you guys so much today, our Vibe, our tribe, for sure. OVOT's in the chat. Thank you for participating.
Biggie, go ahead, bro.
Man, I'll reiterate what I said yesterday, and that open invitation that you guys are making into the space is a phenomenal opportunity to get involved. And I will reference again the book, Losing My Virginity by Richard Branson. Check out, it's about his early days starting his magazine, which later became the Music Empire and the Airlines, the struggles that he had to go through, and the grassroots community that he formed to enable him bottom up to create like such a massive behemoth, which is the Virgin Group today. I think there are a lot of parallels that can be made between that space and Web3. So if you are looking to get involved, there's no better moment to do it. Great community. Come join us. Got ideas, pitch them. I'm a great soundboard. We're friendly people. Really.
How do we get can you like make like more hats? Can you get us like a full load of hats so we can wear? Or is that a one-on-one?
Yeah, man, I'll send you the link, but you have to come and like get measured, dude.
Okay.
Because it was like custom fit and all. But yeah, it's really dope.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I got a big head, so I definitely got to go get this thing measured out, do it right. I don't think I could pull it off though, like you, Biggie. You're pulling that thing off. I don't know if I could pull off that style. I look as dope as you are.
It's worn in. It's really worn in.
Yeah, man. Just to wrap it up, look, it's been a big week. The announcement, the press release is now at the new website, w3b3.life, web3.life. That is the new website that we're building out for the Web3 network. Press release is there. Check it out, share it, help us get the word out. We are just getting this going, and like Biggie mentioned, it's an open invite. We're wanting to partner and develop more shows. We want to up our production quality. We're working on different podcasts, different pre-recorded segments, tutorials. All of this stuff is important to where this network's going. So reach out, get in touch with us. We'd love to have you be part of this journey with us. All of that said, smash the like. If you don't, ETH is going to zero.
Yo, I want to give one quick shout out to our Discord as well. I want to pull this up really quick. This is the Lads Insider. I think I'm going to talk with Hash Rhymes. Of course, with this move, we would like to transition to on brand, but Hash Rhymes has been doing this every single day for, I think, the last 8 months. Correct me if I'm wrong, Hash Rhymes, but this is a curated list of links from the entire literal day. Like you see all these links, this is just one day. And she does this every day in our Discord. We're having discussions in our Discord as well that continue throughout. So come in, join the Discord. It is in the link description there. And it's our tribe, man. It's a fun time.
That's insane value. Shout out Hash Rhymes for being consistent and showing up and creating that level of value for the community.
Take us out, GIF. You got us.
Our vibe, our tribe. Let's fucking go. That's it.